Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to my channel. Happy Prismatic Evolutions Release Day. It is finally here, and what better place to celebrate it by looking at my top 5 competitive picks for this brand new format. Obviously, Badu is going to be the standout card, but how exactly impactful is this to my own competitive ranking of the top decks of this brand new format? So, without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Now, before we look at my top 5, I want to do an honorary mention to Ceruledge. This archetype is going from strength to strength, I feel like, in the past few sets, and it is very, very powerful. We've seen it do incredibly well over in Japan. Obviously, the Champions League, it's got a top 8 placement as well as also a top 16, and the City League meta share, it's about just nearly 9% of all top 16 winning archetypes. Now, of course, it only really did gain Badu, but it's a very, very strong, very powerful archetype and very aggressive. Of course, it does play the Palkia V-Star Greninja engine. I think most decks right now really need to incorporate this one to keep up with decks like Gardevoir and Dragapult, by instantly kind of going with using a single prize archetype to take 2 single prize KOs. It's very, very powerful and really scary. Of course, I do go with the Brilliant Blender, try and be as aggressive as possible. Try and discard as many of your energies so you can actually keep up to get this big 300 damage KO. Or potentially using Palkia or Rennet Greninja, try and stall out the opponent just a little bit. I really do love Ceruledge right now. I'm really excited to see exactly how it will progress in after metagame moving forward. I really do think it's got a really good spot. Now, let's look at my rankings. At my number 5, I do have Regidrago. And instantly you might go, why on earth have you put Regidrago? It is had no really big City League results. Obviously, the Champions League did not do really well and didn't really gain any new cards. But I generally think that Regidrago is that powerful. It's going to keep up in our format. Of course, it won the latest big US regional, so it's not going to disappear completely from the platform right now. And in Japan, they like playing the new best thing. So I do think that Regidrago is still going to keep up with this one. I think the metagame is kind of like going back to more this sort of build here, having more copies of Dragapult, because obviously that is the best attack right now in the game. Still think you need to have that Giratina. Granted, obviously, decks like Gardevoir can kind of play around this one by having the double Monkey Dory and mainly attacking with Gardevoir onto this one. So we do 250 damage to Regidrago, and Regidrago can't actually one-hit KO you back. But I still think that Regidrago is in a really good spot in this new format. It may not be showcased at one, and generally you might have to adapt a little bit more around this one, playing more of a Crispin to Energy Accelerate to this one, and not rely on Energy Switch. So there could be some builds to really evolve and change, but right now, I would not be changing much of Regidrago and hope that it's actually going to be in a really good spot in moving forward. Now, my number 4 pick actually goes to Arton, another brand new deck which is doing really well strength to strength from the Surging Sparks format. Now, of course, this did win the latest Champions League and got a top 8 placement, and in the City League, it's about 6.6%. Hasn't really gained any new cards, but I generally think that Arton is so powerful, having 300 HP and attacking always for 210, which is really, really strong. Or if you want to have another attacking option, use that Origin Form Dialga, having that Star Chronism V-Star ability, power, and actually getting an additional attack afterwards, which is absolutely devastating. Scoop up Cyclone as well as also Professor Cheritonara, just healing up all that damage that is done with this one and attacking again with Arton or Origin Form Palkia Dialga. I want to see this deck as this goes from strength to strength. It is very fast, very aggressive, and one of the best decks against the likes of Dragapult, which is definitely what I learned kind of the hard way. There are 2 different builds about what to play Arton. The top list is very similar to the list that did win the Champions League. I really like what Dialga has to offer. It's a really good attacking option and pretty much attacks very much straight from the bat and just go from strength to strength but stronger every single turn, or just generally just play much more of a healing style archetype with Arton. Again, both these builds could definitely have a good merit to them. Number 3 goes to Lugia. And again, I think this is one of the best Lugia has been in such a long time. It's got 8.1% in the City League, and the Champions League, it got top 8, top 4, as well as also a top 16 placement. It is just going from strength to absolute. It did gain a few new good cards, but of course that very scary Regigigas, where if it has 4 just regular sort of special energies, which isn't double turbo, you're doing 330 damage to the opponent's Terra Pokemon. Of course, this is built in mind of Charizard, but with Dragapult being right up at the top, I do think this is exactly where this Regigigas could really have its time to shine. Again, this is very similar to the top 4 build. I've gone back more of the current sort of 70 HP Minchina for that extra sort of removal of tool cards, kind of get rid of Sparkling Crystal, any sort of very scary sort of Bravery Charms, I think, is just in a much better position than the other sort of one, which is at a vanilla 70 HP. I do love the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon. I think, again, that's a really, really powerful sort of Terra Pokemon. Takes full advantage of any areas of underdepth around play, or generally sob or the other attack as well, doing 100 damage to then 120 to the opponent's bench. I really like Lugia right now. I think it's in a really good spot. But one thing I've noticed, it could be very scared in a Badu sort of format. If you don't have item lock, or generally if your opponent's just with a Clef Key and you can't use this Squawkabilly or Luminion, you are still in an absolutely terrifying place. Now, my number 2 pick, which is so tempted I was to get to number 1, is in fact Gardevoir. And Gardevoir is just doing absolutely incredible right now. In the City League meta share, it's a 13.6%, one of the highest it's ever been. In the Champions League, it got one top 16 placement, which again, I think is still really powerful for a deck of this caliber. Didn't really gain any new cards except the likes of Badu, but most people aren't even playing this one. This is very similar to the build that I've been testing quite a lot with my good friend Justin of the channel as well. Generally, in general, I feel this Gardevoir list is very, very scary. What Munkidori has to offer and really can counter the likes of Dragapult, which is absolutely devastating. It's that 360 damage counter, which always can be placed on the opponent's side, feel from like Dragapult, and just moving around Munkidori, which is absolutely terrifying. I still think Badu is still a really good one-off inclusion, and most Gardevoir lists I feel like aren't even running them right now, but I just think it's just such a good sort of factor. Just seeing that around this one, having a free retreat pivot option, but also just generally just doing that item lock on the opponent's side is really, really strong. Again, I really like having Fluttermane and Cresselia. I think these are really sort of good sort of inclusion. If you kind of like evolve, it kind of evolves. Could we play the likes of Latias, which is a really good sort of single price attacking option, which can do 180 damage. And then if you chuck Munkidori's out damage around there, that's 240, which is very, very good right now. So again, it's not much to really think about right now, but I think Gardevoir is just in such a great position. And of course, my number 1 pick from no one but trying so much for EUIC format is of course Dragapult. This deck is absolutely incredible in this new set. In the City League meta share, it's a 16.8%, one of the highest it's ever been. And I'm not on the copioid day. We have been in this format before where in Prismatic Evolution, in Twilight Masquerade, Dragapult was a 20% archetype. And then when it came to NEIC, it was a 5% deck and did not do well. It is the thing right now. It is so powerful. The Champions League got a top 4 and 3 top 16 placement. That is 4 of the top 16 placement. That is nearly 40%, over 40% of the different archetypes. While the Champions League was in fact a Dragapult EX. Obviously it gained Badu, and this is pretty much where I'm at right now on my Dragapult list. Again, it might completely change by the time around this one. It's a little bit different to the list I showcased over on the channel on Sunday, but I really am a huge fan of this one. Going down to 1 copy of Badu makes absolute sense. If you price it, you price it. If you're worried about that, play a heavy ball. But you can easily get that from the likes of an Arton. I really like having 2 copies of Lance. Having that slow case for that irritating pollen in the opponent's active spot, slowing them down, giving them item lock, and then using Lance to get your cloaks, get your Dragapults, get that big board setup. I absolutely love. I love the 2/1 2-line of Dusknoir, because Dusknoir is much stronger than a Dusclops sometimes. I like having the Crispin and Spark Crispin and Accelerate. You may notice that I've actually gone and play a Churro in this deck, because Radiant Alakazam in the active spot is absolutely devastating if you don't attach a rescue board to this one, because you have to try and find a switch or even a Churro around this one to actually pick it up to potentially move around your very, very scary liability Pokemon. But again, the rest of this deck I think is absolutely fine. I love Dragapult right now in this format. I think it's doing incredibly well. And above all else, I think it's in a really, really good spot. So that is my ranking of my top 5 picks for Prismatic Evolutions format. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Do you agree with any of these placements? Do you think that Dragapult and Gardevoir are kind of overhyped? Or decks like Regidrago, Raging Bolt, and Charizard should actually be much higher up? And they're actually much better than people give it much credit right now, if we just look at the results from Japan. So, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Happy Prismatic Evolutions and release day. Hope you guys have either good pulls if you managed to get any of the product, or generally enjoy this new format, and hopefully Badu isn't as scary as we much think about. I'll of course be back in just a few more days, and we have nearly hit rotation over in Japan, so I'm very excited to talk about that when that finally drops for us. So I'll see you guys in a few days. Bye for now.